Hello, my name is Aušrinė Šilenskytė. In this podcast, we explore the newest trends in strategy implementation practices. Strategy planning and implementation has been traditionally handled through the tools such as Excel and PowerPoint files, newsletters, and similar digital tools. Recently, a number of software applications for strategy planning and implementation are emerging. These applications integrate multiple features needed for strategy work within one online system and are typically used as SaaS, which stands for Software as a Service. Today, we discuss about these digital applications for strategy planning and implementation. Why are they beneficial for companies? What are the challenges of using such solutions? And how easy or difficult it is for a company to start using such digital application. We're honored to have Tiina Partanen, the head of project management organization and sustainability at Fomit Group. Currently, Tiina is responsible for integrating Finnish design digital application for strategy implementation in the organizational management. Earlier, among many valuable professional experiences, Tiina had extensive experience in the global organization of Technos. In Technos, as a group quality, environmental health and safety, which is QEHS manager, Tiina's role was to develop and support Technos Group business through QEHS management according to the Technos Group strategy. In this role, Tiina worked with one of the global provider of digital applications for strategy implementation. So dear Tiina, thank you for agreeing to share your experience on digital applications for strategy planning and implementation.
Thank you, Ausrine. I'm happy to be here and thanks for the invite.
Fantastic. So let's start from the very basic question. Why do companies in Finland and globally are increasingly considering different applications for strategy planning and implementation? And based on your experience, when the company would need to start thinking about digital application for strategy implementation?
Yeah, I think perhaps yesterday was the right moment to start using the digital applications because, as we know, most of the strategies do fail. But seriously, I think when the company has more than one location, so several locations or several functions, or any big changes coming up like mergers, acquisitions, organizational changes, turnarounds, or need for this type of change also. Or simply if you see that you don't get the results expected. So if you feel like that you are running but not moving, I think then it's time to do something differently.
I see, very interesting. And then why the digital application for strategy implementation are beneficial for companies and what are the challenges of using such solutions?
I think the number one benefit is the transparency. Mm-hmm. So you have one tool where you follow up the strategic projects and goals and targets. And the challenge I see is to get everybody involved so that understanding the big picture, not only that now I list my projects, but instead you understand that this is a company strategy where you need to understand a little bit of the surroundings and the big picture as well. And I see there is the challenge.
I see. Very interesting. Now, we are aware that any tool meant to support strategy implementation must be implemented first itself, right? So how easy or difficult it is for the company to start using a digital solution for strategy implementation, and why exactly you would think so?
I think implementation itself, it's rather easy if the maturity level in a company is good. But first you have to have a good strategy. So you have to have the strategy with clear goals, roles, and responsibilities. And any software doesn't do the trick for you, obviously. Yes. So, but if you have a good strategy in place, then implementing a software, that's just a good project management itself. It's not really difficult, in my opinion, in my experience.
Right. So the softwares that are available, they are not that complex or something that you would not be capable to use them. It's not, not a rocket science.
No, not at all.
Wonderful. You worked with the global provider of application. Now you're working and collaborating with the Finnish provider of the application for strategy implementation. And both of these providers are sort of designed their applications on Japanese Hoshin Kanri strategy implementation methodology. We know that there are different implementation methodologies, but sort of this was on Hoshin Kanri. What is the most difficult part of the process when implementing strategy with these applications?
I think there are two important phases, and that is the beginning and the end, as always. So beginning, as I already mentioned, that you need to have the maturity level and the good strategy in place. So if the strategy is just a CEO's wish list on PowerPoint, no software can turn that into a success. But in Hoshin Kanri, I think the catchball is the key. So you need to have the catchball process in place so that it's not a one-time exercise, but instead you need to fulfill the catchball process.
Could you say a few more words about the catchball for those who are less familiar with the and how much this is actually an integral part of the software rather than the process? Maybe you could a little bit elaborate.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of these two, obviously. So you need to have the process. So you need to have a person who understands the catchball and can facilitate the process. And then you need to have some kind of a tool, software to support that. And it requires a little bit training and understanding so that everybody speaks the same language and understand what we are doing. But I think it's not rocket science. It's simply that you need to have a good communication plan so that you get everybody involved, and you have a transparency in the system so that you know what you are aiming, and everybody are more or less on let's say on the same page.
I see. Still, I would like to return to this catchball because you mentioned it as a major bottleneck. And the catchball is the process when sort of we go back and forth between different teams and organizational levels, right? Trying to understand the strategy, trying to see what are the relevant goals and how we all could contribute to the strategy, right? So where the software helps in this process and what is difficult if the software is not there?
Software helps mostly having the hierarchy in place so that as in catchball you need to have the structures, you need to have the breakthrough objectives or long-term objectives, and then the annual objectives, and then you turn those into programs and projects. And in the software, you can easily see that if there is a, let's say, breakthrough objective on a group level, let's say on whatever goal, then you can easily think that, okay, what does this mean to me or to my function or to my business unit or whatever? So that helps. And with PowerPoints, it's very difficult to manage all this. There can be tens or even hundreds of PowerPoint slides, and every manager or director can change them all the time. And then it's very difficult to follow up in the end that what is actually the latest version, or what is the group goal, and what is then a country level goal or business unit level goal. And next time you see the PowerPoint presentation, you see different things, and you kind of lose the transparency then.
I see. So to summarize you, sort of what you're saying is that the software helps to have this real-time monitoring, right, of the information, having latest updates over there, and really seeing the big picture without a big effort, like what normally is not available, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So that it's not only that you again have to start all over creating some kind of a PowerPoint presentation, but instead you just update the latest status on the software itself,
Right.
and you have the real-time understanding all the time that where we are today.
Fantastic. That's a big improvement in strategic management, indeed. Right. And then the last question would be, what differences and similarities have you observed between the two applications that you've been working with, meaning the Finnish and the global provider, and why the decision was made to choose this time a Finnish provider?
It was really easy to decide on the Finnish provider. That is really the user friendliness, I think, is the key, and the simplicity, so that you have the features that you really need, but not all the features you can imagine in the world. So it is so easy for the users as possible, and also the support level that we get from the company is just super.
Wonderful. What kind of support is necessary when you're integrating? Now you mentioned that application features are sort of more straightforward aspect, but then what kind of support would be needed for the company when they are integrating this?
Yeah, I think the support we get is not only understanding that this from this button in a software, this is the feature you get, but also bigger understanding what kind of a smart goals you need, how to define smart goals, and so it's more than just how to use the software. It's more or less how to implement strategy and what is Hoshin country.
Right. So this is very important thing that you now mentioned, right? So that the software doesn't solve the quality of the goals, or doesn't improve the quality of the goals. It doesn't improve the quality of the whole process. Sort of, it's still people who are doing that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, as always.
As always. But what software is actually doing in this is sort of helps to manage the information, helps to manage the real-time updates, to follow up the processes more efficiently, easier, and sort of without getting lost in the files and documents and old facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights. We appreciate you finding time to discuss with us about newly emerging phenomena in strategic management, the digital applications for strategy planning and implementation. It was great having you with us.
Thank you, Ausrine. It was really nice to discuss with you, and I'm happy to discuss further.